a few weeks ago, you heard us grading the off seasons of the NBA, and then we also took some listener questions and answered in the mailbag. But we haven't actually given some stern predictions of what we expect for this team. Now, what we'll first do is talk about what we anticipate for the wins and losses. I mentioned it earlier. Over the last two seasons combined, the team has won 33 games, which is a franchise worst for a two-stretch of seasons. But as Troy pointed out, Kevin Pelton's model has predicted the Wizards at 14.2 wins. I checked in the break that he said that it was the worst that they ever predicted. He's been running this model since 2010, so that's a pretty large sample size for that to be the lowest number. ESPN Bet also has the Wizards over-under at 20.5. Troy, what's the win range that you expect for this team?
Woo. Let's say I'm gonna go with that 14 to 20 range. I think that people people aren't forgetting. I think this is a very much relevant thing that's going on amongst Wizards Twitter is the fact that, they still have that, top 8 protected draft pick that is owed out to the New York Knicks that was a part of the John Wall trade. And so technically speaking, that would put them after the trauma that we already experienced from last year's draft lottery, where you dropped 4 spots in the draft lottery. So now we have to finish with the top 4 worst records in the league in order to ensure that even if you drop 4 spots, that you still keep that pick. And so when you look at last year, the team that finished 4th, I think they won like 20 games, 21 games. And so, I think that it would behoove the Wizards to not cross that threshold if they want to keep their draft pick. So, it just really kind of puts it, into perspective, the kind of numbers game that they're going to be faced with for this season. And so, yeah, I would say in that 14 to 20 range is a smart bet for what the Wizards are going to do.
All right, and Damo, do you think that that's an accurate assessment?
Oh, no question. It's no way the Knicks can get that top 8, can get that pick, that top 8 protected pick. You go out and you try to win, 25 games instead of 19 or 20, and then you drop from 6 to 9th. It's like because that, if I'm not mistaken, that's what happened in the Rui draft, either the Rui draft or the Din draft. I can't remember. One of those drafts, we were supposed to draft top 6. We dropped to 9, and it's just like, come on, man. But yeah, they can't have that, man. They can't get the 9th pick and then they go to the Knicks in a season where you're obviously have constructed the roster to tank at least one more season. So yeah, they gotta. Yeah, I'm gonna put them in that 14 to 20 as well. They have to. They have no choice.
And Isaac?
I'm gonna give a hard number rather than in between. I think they're gonna win 15.
Damn.
15 on the dot. 15. And I don't mean to be like harsh, but either it's 14 to 20, yeah. But the only reason I'm saying is they're gonna be trading some vets here. So either they start going on a little win streak, either they start losing on a losing streak like they did last year, and then they trade some vets and they start winning a little more, and then they finish out a losing streak, or they start on a winning streak, they win their 15 games early, and then they just don't win again. Something's going to give here, and with especially a young roster and you're trying to protect that pick, something's going to give there. And I only say 15 instead of the 14.2 because in the NBA, someone's going to have off night. So it's just inevitable. And when you have bench pieces like Cam Whitmore that likes to, shot chuck, they get a little lucky. Or you get Trey Johnson, who he's been working on his jumper. Keyshawn George, someone might be hot one night, and it might be enough to take out a top 4 team in the league. And it's oh, this is a weird win. But I think that's guaranteed that's going to happen with this team.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with all of you. It's that 14 to 20 range. I think what I would add on to that is they don't, at least from an outside perspective yet, have an established killer on this roster, right? A guy that everyone can view will fully lead this team out of those tight games. And for that reason, yeah, I think they're going to be on the lower side of the win total, and it's going to be by design. One thing to also note about Kevin Pelton, he kind of dropped an interesting little nugget there. Obviously, we talked last week about how ESPN, they rank every year the top 100 players. The Wizards had no one in the top 100. They also apparently, according to Kevin Pelton, didn't have anyone in the top 130. So there's really not a lot of
I think that's a little disrespectful.
of talent on the roster right now.
Crazy.
It's a lot more potential. And for that reason, the whole year is going to be a lot of these young players figuring out where they actually fit in this league, what their potential actually is, and trying to make it a reality. So there's going to be a large learning curve. The excitement for the team is giving them the ability to figure it out. These young guys have nothing but opportunity ahead of them. So that's what I'm looking forward to this year. But let's move on to some superlatives. Who is it that we think will be the leading scorer? Damo, I'll start with you.
This is. We just talking just the whole season period, or are we saying pre-All-Star or after All-Star?
Look, who's gonna be at the? It doesn't matter, but pre-trade, after trade, like who at the end of the year,
after trade.
when you go to Basketball Reference, who is gonna be the top name on that list?
I'm gonna go C.J. McCollum, man. Like seven straight seasons, 20 points a game. I don't see a reason why that would change this year. If anything, it might go up. So I'm gonna go C.J. McCollum.
All right, Isaac.
I'm gonna stray away from that because I did have CJ as well. CJ might have a career year here, but if it's not CJ, if we're talking about someone who's potentially going to be here on the roster the whole time, Bub. I think Bub's gonna find an opening here playing that point guard. He's not going to play the traditional point guard way. I think he's going to play more of like a Kyrie, like a score first, even though he needs to be a pass first, and that just comes with the growing pains of developing, as a point guard.
All right.
I'm going with CJ. It just, to me, I think that it makes the most sense. I love that stat that you just pulled out, Damo. That I didn't know 7 years in a row of 20 points per game. Like that's
reliable.
That's a bucket getter. So yeah, I think when you look at what the Wizards are going to be looking for from CJ, and especially with him trying to get that trade value up, like he's got to go out there and put that ball in the basket.
Now, I'm going to go with the player who I honestly thought Isaac was going to go for, someone who might try to get his Kuminga on a little bit. I'm going to go with Cam Whitmore. I think he's going to see a lot of opportunities here. He's definitely going to put the shots up. I don't know if they're going to fall, but he's definitely going to try to go for it. But moving on to the next one, Troy, I'll start with you here. Who do you think will be the MVP of this team? Now, this doesn't have to be like the actual best player. It could be like an unsung MVP.
The most valuable player for the 2025-26 Wizards is going to be Alexander Sarr. I think that when you look at Sarr, we were talking about earlier about how the Wizards don't have a player who's ranked in the top 130 players in the NBA. Sarr is that player who I believe has the best opportunity to jump into that top 100 ranking. Just because of his defensive versatility. Like you really just don't find 7-1 guys who are able to competently defend at the rim and also competently switch out onto smaller players. And so if Sarr really just stays healthy, he raises his game on the defensive end and starts putting in some buckets around the basket, then I think he has a really good opportunity to be the best player on this team and be the MVP.
Right. Damo?
Yeah, man, I gotta say I agree with Troy here. Like it's Sarr for me just because of the versatility. Like I think there was a quote that came out, him saying he's gonna shoot less threes this year and take more shots at the rim. Because his shot died last year. I think he was like 60% of his shots were jump shots. As a big, that is gonna kill your efficiency. So if he flips that and he's at the rim with most of his shot attempts, and then he's giving you 2 blocks, 7-8 rebounds, and just kind of stuffing the stat sheet, 14 to 16 points, I don't see how he wouldn't be the MVP of the team.
I'm gonna have to break away from you guys. Although I do like Sarr as that, and I'm expecting that improvement. He is starting out hurt this year, and availability is your best best skill here, especially when on a young roster where you got to develop. So I'm gonna have to give it to Keyshawn George here. I think he had an absolute amazing offseason to really show that he is a two-way player and that he can shoot. So when you have someone like that who's obviously been showing that he's been available, he's been healthy, he's been the healthiest out of the rookies with the exception of Bub. He's been the healthiest so far. He's had a great offseason. It looks like he's actually really expanding on his game a little bit. And if he starts playing a little more defense, too, and adding to his offensive game, we have a new team MVP. So, yeah.
All right, well, you talk about one of last year's rookies. Let's focus on this year's upcoming rookies. Who do you anticipate to be the rookie of the year for the Wizards?
Oh, it has to be Trey. It has to be Trey Johnson. This man doesn't want to leave the gym. He's putting up, like, he's doing Sadiq Bey type missions here. Like, oh, we have to kick you out. And CJ McCollum said, you have to find another hobby other than basketball. But I think right now his hobby is I'm going to try to be the best player on this team that I can be. And he's taking that consistently well. And this guy might actually be in the running for Rookie of the Year. Based off all the media I've talked to. So without a doubt, it's Trey Johnson.
Sure.
I'm going to go with Jameer Watkins. No. Trey Johnson is the answer.
That's crazy. Jameer's a good pick, though. That's actually a sneaky pick. Don't disrespect my guy.
It's no disrespect to Jameer. I just wanted to see you guys face it. But no, like Trey is the obvious answer. He is a top 10 pick, number 6 overall. And, he is, he's a guy who, the team is very much intrigued by. And, I love the fact that, that they really had to be out there telling him to get off the practice court. And so this is a guy who says, he doesn't have any hobbies right now. He's still young, so it's just going to be, video games and hooping. And so, I think that he'll have the opportunity to go out there and get some shots up. But more importantly, I think that, he's a very underrated, secondary ball handler type of player too. And so I think that he'll just be able to contribute in a lot of different ways besides just shooting.
Damo?
Yeah, it's definitely got to be Trey. I mean, dude, it's a walking bucket. Like I feel like that's all he think about all day is just scoring the ball. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Trey because he's gonna get the opportunities to do it, and yeah, it's his show. Top 6 pick. He more than anything, the team needs him to do it. So yeah, I'm gonna go with Trey for sure.
All right, now let's move on to the most improved player slot. Damo, who do you think on this roster is capable of making the next leap for this upcoming season?
I'm gonna go. I was initially gonna go Keyshawn George, but I'm gonna go with Cam Whitmore because he played so little for the Rockets. But I think he's going to get such a bigger runway here to kind of explore his game. So I'm going to go with Cam Whitmore.
I'm going with Keyshawn George. I definitely believe that, there is an element of this team where they are trying to emphasize the defensive side of the basketball. And so, when the team talked about their first practice last week, how they basically didn't even use the ball. They said it was like track practice. They're really emphasizing what they want to bring from the defensive end. And I think that Keyshawn is a very underrated defender in this league. And so, I really believe that because of his two-way capabilities, that he will put himself in a position to really grow by leaps and bounds over the course of this season.
I'm gonna have to go with Damo here, Cam Whitmore. I think it's a prove it season for him, not contractually, but just for himself and for everybody. He's always had some type of. He's always had some type of thing with him to where like he didn't get to play enough or he didn't get to show enough, or like even with his draft class, his draft stock dropped initially. So from my initial thinking is just like Cam's like, I'm gonna go out here and prove that I can do what everyone's always been telling me what I can do for their whole life. I can score, I can play, and I can really develop. So we're going to really find out if Cam's like, man, did the Rockets get a steal and they just didn't need him, or did the Wizards get a steal and a hometown kid? So I think this is a big year for him.
Yeah, I think contractually, I think he actually does have a lot to prove this year.
That too, he really does.
I think in the back of his mind, he's definitely thinking about that extension.
Yes. But it's also the mental aspect. Sorry for trying to romanticize it also, but like I get why you have to look at me like, yeah. But like, I'm looking at it from a player perspective too. So yeah.
The players like getting paid.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do.
I had to. So
I mean, I'll choose one a little bit more dark horse contender here, but that's just because I've still got stock back from like 2017. I'm gonna keep rooting for Marvin Bagley to prove that he can actually be a real consistent
You guys
backup.
are looking at me for
He's
what
got
I'm
like
saying.
he's got like a week of being the starter out the season. You know, why not? Let's keep rooting for him.
I mean, that's actually not a bad pick. With when you look at the amount of big men that are on this roster, and his ability to go out there and just munch up the empty calories, like just give me honey buns.
Yeah.
like I haven't given up on Marvin, but
No, he's not. Trust me, he's gonna go out there and put up the coldest 8-8 for.
You sound like-
yeah, for sure.
sound like Jets fans, like hoping that something ain't happening. Like,
All right, that'll wrap up our superlatives right now. So we're gonna go ahead and head on to break.